Hello. So today we are going to talk about Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft, as you know, is one of the two most prolific and famous pulp authors of the beginning of the 20th century. The other one is the author of Conan. And in the case of Lovecraft, there are many, many stories. There are many collections of stories. His stories were compiled because they were published in different magazines, and most of the stories are quite good, quite interesting in the plot, the elements. So even nowadays, some of the stories can surprise you. And if you never had any contact with Lovecraft, and you want just a taste of different stories, the book I would recommend. Oh, by the way, all of them official editions. I don't like classics that are not official. I don't care about the publishing house. I don't care about the country. Those things are secondary as long as the editions are official and they don't have any commercial information in them, any websites, and all those things that normal commercial books have. I just like to read the text. I don't want any comment, any opinion, any prologue by some unknown professor from some university. So yeah, when I read Lovecraft, if I want to find something, I will Google it myself, and I hope you have the same opinion as me. So I will recommend you only official editions, and I will put the links down there. But if you want a quick taste of Lovecraft, I would recommend you a book called The Call of Tulu, Dagon and Other Stories. That one has a few of his most famous stories. Some of them are quite short, like Dagon. It's not a long story, but the elements are essential to the Lovecraft mythos. And of course, he had a lot of friends who were writing stories for him. They were exchanging ideas and all that. But here, I'm not going to talk about any of the stories written by other authors or his friends, like Lovecraft friends and all that. Famous as they may be, I will only recommend books and stories written by Lovecraft. So the first one, if you want a quick taste, is The Call of Tulu, Dagon, and Other Stories. If you want something more, like less Lovecraftian, so to speak, if you want something more normal, more usual, in terms of reading, I would recommend you At the Mountains of Madness. The Mountains of Madness is about an expedition that goes to the snow. I'm not even going to enter into details, but yeah, things start going in specific ways. Let's leave it there. So, At the Mountains of Madness is another one of the books I usually recommend. Then come the other editions, like those two would be an introduction, and the other editions, they are made by different publishing houses. The process, as long as I understand, like as far as I can grasp the concept, the publishing houses start contacting each other when they want to publish some official edition, so that not to have repeated stories, like nobody's going to buy the same story in five different books. So usually they contact each other, they send emails and all that. I know because I was writing emails at some point, working for some of these publishing houses. Well, not too many, just two of them. Not these precise publishing houses, but I have been writing those emails myself and asking, begging them not to copy the stories that were already in some book, in some collection. But that was years ago. I think that nowadays they're still doing it. I'm not in that profession anymore, but I guess that nowadays the story is exactly the same. So, yep, that's why it's very rare to find an official edition that contains stories present in some other official edition published around the same time. So with these books, I think you will only have one or two short stories that are repeated, but in 50 stories, having only two repeating in one or two books is an acceptable thing, I guess. So the lurking fear and more stories or more mysteries. I don't remember the title. That's also a very good one. Lovecraft, some good stories. That's one that gets recommended a lot. It's present in a lot of book clubs and all that stuff. So, Lovecraft, some good stories is one of the classics. The Case of Charles Dexter Ward and Other Stories is a bit deeper into the Lovecraft mythos. So I wouldn't recommend you to start with that one, but it has interesting stories as well. The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath and Other Mysteries is quite interesting. The Horror at Red Hook and Other Stories, also a classic book. And the last one, I think, is The Whisperer in Darkness and More Horrors. So with those 8 books, with those 8 books, you would have all the Lovecraft stories. And in case you're wondering, why not buying a book that contains all the stories? I can answer that question. It would be because those books usually have a very small print. They don't actually have all the stories, and it's for me it's a bit annoying to buy one of those volumes, to think you have everything, and then find out that they took 3 or 4 stories away because they were offensive to some minority or blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, we get it, it was 1920, people weren't as sensitive, we get it. But if I buy a whole collection, I want all the stories, not the ones you think I want to read. And with these books, I guess you would have absolutely everything. I have checked all the stories, and yep, you would have all of them, to the point that two of the stories, I guess, are present in 2 books. So yeah, it's with these books, you would have all the Lovecraft written by Lovecraft, because the mythos is quite big and all that, and other authors have participated. But this is all the things. These are all the things written by Lovecraft. So this is all the material written by him, and in official editions. I don't like comments, prologues, opinions. Most of the editions that are not official will have some introduction by some guy telling you how Lovecraft was a racist, how he was anti-Semitic, how he was like a lot of things that I don't really care. I just want the stories. I'm not going to be his friend. He's dead. So I just want to read literature as it was written. And that's why official editions are the safest way to go all the time. For the classics, I wouldn't risk a lot of censorship, a lot of changes. I heard that a few years ago they changed the cabin of Uncle Tom, and they changed the name of the guy because it was offensive or something like that. So a lot of nonsense going on these days, and literature is beyond time constraints and the moment we are living right now. Maybe in 40 years we'll be explaining our grandchildren how at some point we thought we could change the classics to make them more appealing for some reason. But yeah, that's not what I like to read. When I read a book, I want to read exactly the version that was published by the author, or the one he wanted to publish, in case there is some discrepancy with the editor or something like that. And that would be the case with these books. With these books that you see there, you will have every Lovecraft story available right now.